Hello everyone. A very warm welcome to this workshop Blockchain Shala conducted by the Blockchain Hive. I am Mehak Kalra, co-founder of the Blockchain Hive, and I will be your host for this event. Let us wait for next 30 seconds till that everyone can join. So now let's start. I hope I am audible and visible to all of you. Let me know in the comment section. Am I audible to all of you? So before moving ahead, let me introduce you about the Blockchain Hive. We are building a decentralized education platform using blockchain and NFTs. The owner of the content bought by the user will be the user himself, and he will be able to transfer and sell the courses according to his or her own will. This will create more efficient learning by incentivizing quick learners and providing an alternative, cheaper option for quality education at a lower cost. I know that these terms might appear too complex, but I think 2 दिन की वर्कशॉप के बाद अब तो भारी भारी सब शब्द समझ आ ही रहे होंगे, राइट? 2 दिन में एंथो तो कम नहीं होना जनता. लेट मी नो इन द कमेंट सेक्शन अबाउट योर एक्सपीरियंस ऑफ दिस वर्कशॉप. एंड आज एंथो बढ़ाने के लिए वी हैव लॉन्च्ड some exciting hands-on activities which you cannot afford to miss. So, before inviting our first speaker, I would like to mention few important points. Firstly, try to join today's session through your laptops if possible for the activities that we are going to conduct. Secondly, I would like to again remind you that we will be sharing a Google form to track your attendance during this workshop. We request all the participants to fill it out to record your presence and get the participation certificate too. At the end of the session, we are also going to announce something special for you all, so be there till the end. Now, I would like to invite our first speaker, Ravikant Agrawal, Director of Growth at Polygon Labs. Now, I would like to hand over this session to him. Thank you.
Hey guys, GM, as we all say in Web3. Hope you guys can hear me all well. All right, let me just get started, and I will try to present my slides. And just a quick, uh, every platform has its own way of looking at it, and hopefully this platforms allow me to quickly start sharing my screen and take it further. By the way, great to hear so many guys joining in on the Sunday evening, which is very interesting. That showcase automatically, the interest in terms of learning about Web3. Exciting. All right, just housekeeping. Hope my audio is well, my screen is all visible, and we can get started. And guys, I may not be able to see the chat window when I'm presenting, so would love to get a shout out in case if there is any tech difficulty in between. All right, so let's get started. Want to cover up few things and make the session worthy enough for everybody who is out here. So we are going to be talking about future trends and opportunities in blockchain. Just a quick introduction about myself. Working in the capacity of director at growth at Polygon. A couple of focus areas that I'm looking after. One is the Web3 mobile, where we are trying to see how we can have mobile as a new frontier for Web3 and digital identity. Those are the couple of areas that I'm focusing at the moment. Prior to this, I had a small instinct where I've co-founded a digital identity product-based startup, and prior to that, I have spent a long career in strategy and business consulting, working with some of the large financial institutions, which are global, and providing them more on the financial services related business consulting and emerging tech. So that's me. Happy to stay connected with any one of you. You can scan the QR and say a quick hello if you want to talk about the Web3 in general anytime, even in the future. So this is what we are going to be spending our time on. We are going to be talking about some of the key innovations that are happening in blockchain, emerging trends, and then career opportunity in blockchain, and have some time open where I want to take some questions, understand what you guys are building. If there are certain areas that I can help you, happy to take those questions. So we'll try to see if we can cover point until point three slightly quickly, and then have little more time for the open discussion. But I want to make it more interactive. तो अगर आपके पास में कोई क्वेश्चन है, प्लीज फील फ्री टू सेंड अक्रॉस इन अ चैट विंडो. हम लोग बीच में पॉज लेकर भी वो क्वेश्चंस देख सकते हैं. So moving on, I wanted to touch base on the evolution of Web3. I'm sure many of you may be very comfortable in terms of understanding this, or it has might be covered up in some of the past speaker sessions. But to kickstart, just giving a view of how Web3 has been evolving and what are the things that are changing. So Web 1, pretty much read only, where we used to consume the information on the internet. Web 2, it has slightly become more interactive, and immersive experiences have started showing up, where we wanted to get certain things done online, whether it is your storage, whether it is your social media and things like that. But the similar version have started showing into the Web3 space. This is where we are now getting very mature solutions which are coming out in solving of the similar kind of problems, but at the same time the fundamental things are changing. And this is where the fundamental things related to Web3 has been started introducing in those applications, whether it is a decentralized application. So the same way the storage used to be there with the GCP or AWS, there are now decentralized storage solutions. The way we have seen the Facebook and Twitter of the space in the Web3 in the social media, similarly, there are Web3 based social media applications like Lens that are popular and are growing up. Now, what is changing between Web 2 and Web 3? I think, as you all know, we are moving towards more decentralization, reducing the intermediaries in between. But there are few more key aspects, in terms of the ownership that Web3 brings in, which is a very different paradigm shift in terms of knowing how, as a user, you are getting control over your assets, over your ID, over your data. And I think that is where the ownership aspect comes in. The permissionless aspect is also something that everybody should talk about when it comes to Web3. This is where anybody can start interacting with certain types of solutions, and there are no red taping in terms of accessing those applications. And this is where the permissionless aspect is very powerful. A user don't really have to perform those mandatory steps in order to interact with either a DeFi application or playing a game or even certain types of registry. And the last one that I had in my mind in order to talk about is the incentive economics. And this is where Web3 also help a lot of founders, a lot of early developers and creators in order to spin up their application into the hands of new users with the help of something called as an incentive economics. And we are going to be talking slightly more onto this one, so hold on this. Let me just jump into the first one, where we are talking about what are the innovations that are happening in Web3 space. I'm sure that many of you must have been reading about a scalability as a challenge. But then I would like to talk about why scalability is so important. So if you're talking about Web3, which is going to be changing the way we are all transacting and interacting today, the scalability aspect is going to be very crucial. If we want to make this technology into the hands of more and more users, it has to be far more scalable, cheaper, faster, so that we can get the same thing that we are doing with the Web 2 technology. We should be able to do with the same comfort with Web 3 technology. And that's why scalability is quite important. Now, very popular blockchain trilemma, if you have come across interesting post written by Vitalik in the early days, where we are talking about three dimensions: decentralized, secure, and scalability. And this is where the underlying diagram that you are able to see, where we are talking about two aspects: decentralization and security, of Ethereum, but then scalability can be taken off by another layer, and that is where there can be different solutions which can provide the kind of scalability that are required so that more and more applications can be created and the user experience in terms of simple, faster solution or transactions can be made possible. This is where we wanted to improve the block space for Ethereum, which is kind of the important component of this product, right? The block space of Ethereum, I think that is the component where we have to see how we can optimize the block space, and this is moving the transactions off the chain, keeping the validity proof on the chain in one of the technology called as ZK. I think those are some of the ways where we are improving how optimally we can use the block space for Ethereum. Let me take a quick 60-second jive in terms of explaining the diagram. Now, if you look towards the left of the diagram, that is we are talking about a standalone chains, which are low in terms of security, but at the same time, they can cut the cost of a transaction drastically down. While on the right hand side, you got a fully secure chain where the security is super high. You get the security of Ethereum there, but at the same time, there is a cost associated to it compared to the standalone chain, right? So this is a spectrum where we are comparing this to parameter across the left hand and the right of the spectrum. Now, across this spectrum, there are different solutions that can be thought about. So onto the left again, we are talking about a standalone chain or an app chain as we talk about where certain applications they want to have their own app chain. So it could be a large game where they got their own game economics, they got their own tokenomics, and that's where they can spin up their own sovereign chain or an app chain. And that's where they will not have the security of the Ethereum, but at the same time, they would be able to have certain dimensions that they can control. Now, as we keep moving to the right, you would see that there are solutions like sidechain, there are validiums, and there are rollups. And rollups are where we are seeing a lot of interest. Even there are certain types of things that I may be able to share more details because I'm closer to the Polygon ecosystem. That's where I would be giving you the examples from the Polygon ecosystem so as to make it a little more relevant, and then you can primarily go back and research more about it in case if those topics are something of your interest. Now, towards the right, when we are talking about rollups, we got the ZK rollups and optimistic rollups out there. And there are certain solutions within the ZK rollups, and that takes actually me to the next slides where we are talking slightly closer in terms of one of the ZK rollup from Polygon ecosystem called as ZK EVM. Now, how does ZK rollups actually solve the scalability? If you are looking into the diagram, what is happening is there are several user transactions. All those user transactions can be bundled together or batched together to generate something called as a ZK validity proof. And this is a proof that goes on chain. So instead of all those transactions, you are submitting up a ZK validity proof that ultimately saves a lot of transactions that are not going onto the chain. And at the same time, that ultimately reduces the transaction cost overall. I'm talking about at a 30,000 feet in terms of what goes under the hood, but I'm sure this is an area where many of the developers in the room would be excited about hearing more and learning more. I encourage you guys to go and read more about it. But at a high level, what it does is it first of all reduces all the transaction data going on to the mainnet. That reduces the cost of the transaction, improves your privacy and scalability. And that's where, if you talk about the future applications where we are thinking in terms of having those millions of transactions coming on chain, how can they be more affordable? How can they be more there can be higher throughput in order to accommodate all those transactions running on chain? And this is where we believe that ZK rollups are the end game. And again, citing up the blog that Vitalik has written, where he has mentioned ZK rollups to be the end game, that gives us a different perspective of how the scalability can be achieved with the help of ZK rollup. This is where we are getting the security of the Ethereum. If you recollect the previous slides, the right side of the spectrum, this is where the ZK rollup comes up, where we are getting the entire, complete security of the Ethereum. So all your solutions which are high ticket or which required, the transactions to be more secured by going onto the mainnet, which is highly decentralized chain, that is where you would, should be considering in terms of using such kind of solutions. At the same time, the cost and the performance are going to be an important dimensions that ZK EVM provides. And the most important thing from the developer standpoint is making it EVM equivalence. So this is where the developer experience has also been thought through, and user would be able to use all their existing infrastructure and tooling that they are comfortable using on Ethereum. So the learning that is there for that huge community that Ethereum has, that all those learning can be as is used when you're talking about the ZK EVM. So that's the beauty of the ZK rollup. Keep moving. Another dimension that I want to talk about in the innovation segment. When we talk about uh, the assets the transfer of messages and assets across chain, that's what we call in terms of the interoperability. And this is one of the hardest industry problem to solve. And there had been certain situations where we have seen that the assets have been lost or those breaches has been attacked. Now, without this, even it's going to be complicated, because otherwise the blockchain is going to be operating in silos. So there has to be cross chain communication, and this is where the bridging comes in or the interops comes in. And there are multiple solutions that have been there are third party bridges that helps in terms of exchanging the messages and assets across the chain. But there is an innovative way that is coming out, and this is where I'm presenting a slide which also gives another new way of bringing in a unified liquidity, and that also helps in terms of the scalability angle. So across different chain, that's the top layer. How are you going to be exchanging the assets across those many different chain? And this is where the interop layer comes in, where it makes the cross chain transfer of the assets very very seamless. And this interop layer can actually take care of all the transfers between the different chains that are associated to it. That's where we get the unified liquidity. What I mean by unified liquidity is all the assets across this many different chains are actually unified, and that's where the user experience in terms of sending the asset from one chain to another chain becomes seamless again. And such an improvement of user experience, at the same time making it more seamless in terms of hiding all the complexity of the transfers of assets between one to another, has been taken off. So this is the type of innovations that we are seeing in terms of the bridging between multiple chains. The next one, when we talk about the user experience, I certainly thought that let me continue the extension of the last bullet point about the extension about the user experience by picking up account abstraction. I'm sure this is a topic that many of you must have heard or seen when we talk about Web3. This has been quite in hype in last few months, especially when it has been announced at ETH Denver. So account abstraction, a great way of looking at it, most popularly called as 4337, ERC 4337. But what it does under the hood is basically it separates the control of an account from its associated private key. So you can think in terms of, it primarily is allowing an account to be controlled by a contract instead of just a private key. So there are many more things that you can do if you are associating a smart contract to an account instead of just making it a private key. And that is where we are talking again improving the user experience by lips and bounds. And this is one of the problem statement that everybody keep talking about when it comes to Web3 user experience, right? I think with the account abstraction, it has actually forklift for every one of us in order to simplify the overall experience, whether it is hiding the making the gas abstraction, whether even simplifying how do we all store the our keys, right? So bringing in the social recovery angle into it, so I can split up my keys between the type of parties that I want, and then maybe let's say three or five key collected together in order to get my wallet back. Transaction bundling is another very simplified way, which again helps in terms of user experience, but also simplify the cost of transaction and the custom authorization. You can read more about it. There are several implementations that are being done, especially the wallet providers, the mixers, the DeFi protocol are some of the early adopters of this technology, simplifying the overall user experience. And this is where we are getting inch closer in terms of explaining how a Web2 experience can be brought into Web3. So I can just use my Gmail ID, get my wallet created under the background, and I can get started interacting with many of those Web3 applications, and really don't have to see the pain of setting up my own MetaMask, remembering all those mnemonics and things like that. So great way in terms of getting started with the improved user experience. The last slide that I have on this section is where I wanted to share a perspective of what is that innovation that also Web3 brings, which is breaking the existing network effect. Now, I'm sure that network effect is a very commonly used term, and it relates to most of the powerful networks like social media. This is where I want to give a perspective that I've learned from Balaji's presentation, where we are talking about how Web3 not necessarily work the same way where the existing networks like Facebook operates, right? So where Facebook gain the most value from a network effect is once the protocol or once the system reaches to a critical mass, and that's where the network utility and network effect kicks in. However, in Web3, it's completely the other way around. Is when the project get launched or even before the launch, they started bringing in the community together. This is they started interacting with some of the like-minded people who believes in this vision, who believes in terms of this product roadmap, and then they all wanted to be part of this project in some shape or form. And that's where the community come together. And the community members who are the early adopter for this project are actually the ones who are getting the maximum value from this particular network. And this is a very very different view of looking at it, where the existing network effect can be broken up with this kind of a different way of looking at building your community and kickstarting with the set of participants who are believer of your project. That's where we keep seeing in the crypto Twitter that there are either a lot of shilling about a particular project or there are a lot of trolling. And this is where it becomes very very innovative in terms of how a project would be building up their community. And that's maintain the excitement. I quickly take a pause and see in case if there are any questions. Feel free to post any questions that you may have. Would love to take those questions and not make it too monotonous. So I see one questions. What are the blockchain we should know, learn to start with Web3? And okay, so what are the technology we should know, learn to start with Web3 and blockchain? I think an interesting one. There are few things that you guys should be aware of. First of all, in order to learn blockchain technology, you need to understand how do you gonna be writing one of the important component, which is a smart contract. When it comes to the Ethereum ecosystem, Solidity is one of the programming language that you should be aware of. But then there are various other components that you should also be aware of in order to make your solution work better. Whether it is kind of a messaging protocol that you need to understand, what kind of let's say analytics that you are going to be using, what kind of I would say wallet providers that you would be combining into your solution. So I think that kind of an overall view of learning how a Web3 or a blockchain solution should be created. This is where you can get started with smaller, I would say, dApp creation yourself, and then try to see how you can stitch in all those components in order to create a very simple interactive applications. And there are various websites that can help you. We'll cover a little bit towards the end of the section as well. Feel free to post any other question that you may have. Okay, if no more question, let me just carry on to the next section that I had, which is where I want to talk about some of the interesting trends that we are seeing in a Web3 space. So there are five that I've plotted, but this list can grow. In the interest of time, I'm keeping some of the ones that I thought would be very interesting for this audience. So mobile adoption, or what is happening with mobile as a new surface in Web3, is one of the topic that I'm going to be double clicking on in the next couple of slides, including the NFT evolution. So those are the two areas which we are going to be double clicking, and we would go through it a little more in detail. But I want to talk about some other interesting developments that are happening and trending in Web3. So DAOs certainly, is a very interesting space. I'm sure that many of you must have started interacting or reading about it. If not, this is where we are talking about a decentralized autonomous organizations. We are talking about how an organization or an entity can be run without having a dedicated or a centralized people set of people to run it, right? And this is where it can be a mechanism where we are talking about decentralizing the entire decision making with the help of all the community members that are involved. It certainly enhances the transparency, increases the participation for the people who want to be part of those DAO and help in terms of voting certain decisions that are taken by DAO, reduces intermediaries to a large degree because this is where all the participants of the community they can come together and make a particular decision in order to move on. And this is where we are talking about a more transparent, trusted, and a secure system that can be done. However, things would be gradually moving in terms of totally decentralizing it. It would be something that we call as a progressive decentralization, and this is where certain DAOs are, initially being formed in certain capacity, which progresses towards a truly decentralized in a coming months or years uh, to make it totally a decentralized application. So, but then this is a very interesting space where a lot of protocols have started setting up DAOs, and they wanted community to participate, put their votes in order to make certain decisions. Very different way of thinking compared to what we are very used to with the centralized organization. And this goes back to my first slide where we are talking about new products being created, but they are decentralized in a way. And this decentralized decision making is another layer on top of it, which makes the progressive decentralization possible. AI in Web3 is again picking up after the aha moment with ChatGPT, where AI has kind of found their one of the critical use case for adoption, and this is where it has again expedited the overall efforts of bringing AI into the Web3 space, whether it is for interactiveness, whether it is for adding more intelligence to the applications, or otherwise just providing more improved user experience overall. And this is where when we talk about AI, data and algorithms are the most important component, but at the same time it is very important to have the correct data or more secure data. And this is where blockchain can act like a layer which is protecting the data, and then AI algorithms sitting on top of it in order to consume that data. And if you think, this two technology can do some miracles where it could the blockchain layer could actually even decentralize the way data can be stored and collected, and this secured layer of data can actually be leveraged by AI in order to have more meaningful solutions coming out. So, uh, looks very positive in terms of this two technology can do miracle, and the solutions that can come out would be very interesting. The tokenization space is also hitting up quite well. There are different dimensions into the tokenization, whether it is tokenization of the financial products. I'm sure that many of you may have heard about what has been done into the financial segment, whether it is the big players like Hamilton Lane, or even the real world assets that are getting tokenized, where we are talking about some real estate token coming in, the solar tokens coming in, and whatnot. In fact, this has actually opened up very interesting use cases for certain areas where for those things we never used to call them as an asset, but then with the help of tokenization they are actually translated into asset which can bring in various business model into the mix. And this is where, let's say, your time as an asset has never been thought about, but then that can be also tokenized in a way where it can now become a very important aspect, and technically we can actually start selling our time. And depending upon, let's say, a person who has his time more precious, the token value of that time of that person can actually go up, and user may actually end up purchasing those assets or tokenized assets in order to start interacting with that particular person, right? So this is getting very interesting, and with the real world asset there are so many high value assets that are tokenized, and they are now being made more affordable into the hands of the users who wanted to start experimenting with them. So very interesting space to keep an eye on. But let me just go to the top two, mobile adoption and NFT, little more detail in my subsequent slides. So when I'm talking about mobile as a new surface for Web3, this is where we are talking about how can we solve one of the critical problem for Web3 application, which is distribution. How can we get those Web3 applications popularly we call them as dabs. How can we get those dabs into the hands of more and more users, right? So that's where improving the distribution and discoverability for the dabs. And with that idea in mind, there is a development kit that has been created, and it is called as the dab store kit. And this dab store kit is where we are thinking in terms of simplifying the overall creation of the dApps and dApp stores. But the vision is, if we end up creating several dApp stores, this dApp stores would ultimately be able to have those dApps in there. And that's where this dApp store can get those dApps into the hands of many, many users. Now, I take a closer look at the diagram. This dApp store kit is made up of two layers. The core layer is where we got something called as a dApp registry. Now, think about this registry as a place where any dApp builder who builds an applications and go and register into the registry. At the moment, this registry contains some, more than 2,000 odd applications in it. Now, any dApp builder can come and register an application so that this application can be discovered by an app store. So that's the base layer, which is being built again with totally Web3 ethos. And any product, any builder, they can come and register here without having permission from anyone. And this chain is totally permissionless and maintained on chain. And that's again with the same beauty where we are talking about the open source, permissionless, and solutions that are built with Web3 ethos. I take your attention onto the second layer, which is the SDK layer. This is where various community partners are coming together. They are bringing their SDKs together and creating kind of a developer tool or a developer toolkit that simplifies the overall app building experience. Sure, again, where you must all be aware about Android Development Kit. If we think of Android Development Kit for Web3, this could be the one that we can use in order to spin up our application fairly straightforward, where we want to, let's say, integrate any kind of payment capability, analytics capability, messaging or notification capability. All those capabilities can be added within no time for the user to just focus on their business logic and create up their app stores or apps. So combining this two, anybody, be it an NFT project, be it a gaming project, be a browser, wallet, content distributor, they can all set up their storefront, bring in the applications that they want from the registry. Again, registry being open source, you are not paying anybody for curation of those applications, and use the SDKs in order to bring those user experience. And your app store can be created within no time. And this app store can have their own governance model. This app store can have their own monetization model, recommendation model. And this is where a user experience can go lips and bounds beyond what it is today. And this is where we are thinking that how can mobile be the new frontier for Web3 in terms of bringing the user adoption. Very interesting space to be watchful for. There are few app stores that are already live. If you want to go check it out, some of them, Cloud Key, Reg Dogs are the couple of names that are coming on top of my mind, and there are few more that are going to be getting launched in the coming time. So very interesting space, mobile adoption to be watchful for. I'm sure you must be, keep hearing in the media about different things related to NFT, and that's the second trend that I want to talk about in the next, let's say, a minute or two. NFTs particularly have gone more popular because of the overprice, or rather, I would say because of the different PFP products, whether it is the apes, punks, monkeys, dogs, penguins, snakes of the world. But this is where a lot of, I would say, eyeball has been looking in terms of the NFT space. But that's not all. I think that is one dimensions. We call it that as a PFP work stream, which has gotten a lot of attention into the media, and at the same time they have attracted many more users, especially with the fluctuations in the price, and that has made it more interesting. But with the NFT as a tech, there had been a lot going on, a lot, right? Whether in terms of the new specs that are being created, whether it is the ERC 1155, 4337, 6551, and many others. But then I think there had been a continuous enhancement in terms of what NFTs can be done. So on my right, I'm talking about some of the areas where NFTs have been utilized in very, very different formats. So whether it is the brands that are coming up in terms of utilizing the NFTs, or whether these are the Web3 social media platforms that are also leveraging the NFTs. Reddit is a very brilliant case study in order to understand what has been done with the help of NFT as a tech without even calling them as NFT. I'm sure the success stories and the stats related to Reddits are out in the market, and you should go and read that case study. But adding in more than 10 million users, where you have not even spoken about NFT to a user, calling that as an more of a collectible, and even not letting users to have that kind of a, I would say, a painful experience of creating their wallet. How simply a wallet is created and that collectible is sitting into the user wallet. I think that's a brilliant case study, and that kind of an adoption using NFT is going to be making it more mainstream. Token getting is another area where a lot of content that has been created, they can be gated with the help of NFT as a ticket or as an access pass, right? And this can be done for both the segments, whether it is an online content where this can act like a pass, or if it's a real world event, where again your ticket can be an NFT. Soul bonding or asset ownership with the help of NFT is again a very interesting area. There have been different types of assets, whether let's say your digital certificate, and there are certain implementation that are already being done in India, where solutions have been created across different types of certificates, and NFT could be one of the underlying tech for it. Soul bonding NFT with other attributions make the NFT value go high. This is again an emerging way where incentivizing the community to hold that particular NFT for a particular project has become very interesting and innovative. It is also getting mixed up with the other existing work streams or verticals, right? NFT getting used into games, into metaverses, into DeFi, and creating more viable solutions again opens up a lot of room for very innovative solutions out in the space. So, with that, I would like to take again maybe any other questions that we have before we hit into the next section, which is the opportunities area. Any questions, anybody? Please feel free to post it, or I might request. Okay, so the next one that I see is, could you share some insight into the current and future use cases that Polygon is targeting, and how the company plans to support the adoption of blockchain technology across various industry? I think I briefly talked about it in terms of certain areas that are out in space. The mobile strategy is one of the area where we are trying to see how we can help the Polygon ecosystem and Web3 in large in order to get that adoption. So that's one of the area. If you're talking about the current and future use cases, I think there are many of them across different work stream. Particularly, gaming is one area that I'm so excited about. That's an area where there are very interesting Web3 games that are coming out, and there are gameplays that are out there which are again more interesting. We have talked about NFT as a space where it is getting more mainstream attention. The case studies of Starbug is an excellent one. Flipkart doing multiple things using this tech is again a very interesting one. So I think in terms of the adoption, we also talk about the way we are thinking of adoption via mobile, the way we are thinking adoption via making the interoperability far more simpler, the adoption via creating more scaling solutions so that we can support the high volume use cases as well, where the Web2 world can actually see this tech providing him the same kind of responses, and we can support all those big corporations, big institutions, Web2 players in order to start leveraging of the Web3 technology. And the scalability again is one area where we are putting a lot of our sweat in order to bring that technology to the front. All right. I think in the interest of time, um, I would. Okay, I see one more question. What role does NFT play in Web3? So, Ayush, to your role, if you are thinking, first of all, it's a very important component because NFT itself is an asset that is on chain, right? So it's a component that is created on chain. So automatically, it makes the same principle that we have talked about, the user ownership. If that NFT lies in my wallet, I own that NFT, right? So the ownership aspect comes in. I am deciding to whom to transfer, when to transfer. So I control that particular asset. And using this asset, I can enable all the use cases that we have talked about, right? So we are talking about how NFTs can be used when it comes to different brands, right? So for example, you may have heard about the Nike shoes, right? That's an NFT where a user can hold that, and then there can be different downstream utilities that can be added with that particular NFT. Similarly, NFTs as your token pass, right? So if you want to interact accessing certain content, be it a movie trailer, right? If you hold that NFT, you would be the first one to watch that trailer. So those are the kind of examples that are out in the space where NFT becomes one of the important tech component in order to enable that, and that is following all the Web3 ethos as we talked about, the ownership being the prime one. Hope that answers. I continue to move on to the opportunity area, and this is where, when it comes to Web3, is something that you are not building alone. When we are building these things, we are building it with community. And what I mean by that, so when you are starting with an application creation, this is not that you starting everything from fresh. First of all, you are doing, or rather you are leveraging a lot of things that are part of the existing, I would say, open source stack. You are using the composability of the network, and at the same time you are working with the community. So the specifications, let's say for example, that we have talked about in the NFT segment, totally contributed by the community. And then you as a willing full developer, if you want to contribute, you can anytime go and contribute into those kind of specs. This is where we are talking about building together with community, and this opens up a lot of opportunity for people to get that kind of recognition, or maybe actually learn from the community by contributing as well as learning from them. At the same time, when you are building stuff, you can start leveraging those things from the open source stack and then build your solution within no time. Composability of the network again comes very handy. And this is what I mean by the first bullet, where it says that when we are building in Web3, we are building with community. And in terms of the opportunities, there are several roles across different areas that you can get involved in case if you are looking towards Web3 for your career path. The screenshot that I have on the image is about something we call as a ecosystem page in Polygon, but there are many other portals that you can leverage. But this is where within the larger ecosystem, whatever jobs opportunities are there, they can be looked upon, and they are across different areas, whether it is in the digital marketing side, whether it is managing of the community and bringing in more and more people to your project. That those kind of roles which are again very innovative in terms of community managers or senior partners. There are dev positions which are where engaging with the developers, simplifying their experience of creating product using your solution, or otherwise helping them during the hackathons and so on, are going to be very important role from a developer perspective, devrel perspective. And these are just a snippet in terms of what potentially roles are there, but there are tons of other opportunities to get engaged in Web3. And many of you, in case if you have built an experience, whether it's a coding experience or whether it is, let's say, managing the community, or whether it is on the business front, working as a business analyst, or maybe you as a product owner, all those skills would be applicable when you are coming and building the solution using Web3 tech. So I think uh, this is where I particularly quote out Sandeep, the co-founder of Polygon, in terms of he keeps saying that living Web3. So you are, when you are working in Web3, you are not necessarily just reading about Web3, but you have to live. So you don't learn Web3, but you live Web3. Where primarily I highly encourage each one of you to go and explore those applications, to go and explore those dApps, go and try out how do you mint an NFT, go and try out how do you play a Web3 game, maybe interact with a DeFi app, and maybe interact with the metaverse and try and see how things are being built. And that gives you a lot of way of thinking of what Web3 application really means. Interacting with community could be an important perspective. What Hive team is doing is a great job in terms of bringing in a lot of people from the community to learn Web3, and maybe inviting the industry speakers in order to share their understanding. I think those kind of participation into community is very important. There are lot of real world events that are also happening. Do participate in there, subscribe to the feed, also contribute it back to the community. I think those are some of the ways where you would enhance your knowledge, but at the same time this opens up a tons of opportunity in the coming time, where you can be into the forefront of the applications that are getting into and built into Web3 space. So I quickly again, take a pause for any final questions that you may have. If not now, scan the code, and I would be more than happy to, talk about Web3 at any point in time. So let me just see in case if there are any questions before we wrap up the session. Any questions, anybody? All right, great. I think there are certain topics that I've actually rushed because they are so wide that even taking a day-long session for those topic, would be less. But I've tried to give a glimpse of it. Use a lot of material that is available online, and you should be able to deep dive into all of those innovative trends, whether it is the scaling solutions or whether those are the trending areas like NFT. And keep building, guys. Okay, I see one question. Any specific language you will advise to learn to non-programmer? Um, I think if you want to code, you should certainly be learning Solidity from a smart contract perspective. But otherwise, the typical other component, whether it is creation of a mobile app, so you can learn the mobile app creation tech, or otherwise you want to build the typical front end and back end. So all those tech would be relevant as well. But if you're talking about a non-programmer, I would say that there are also various no code platforms that are available, which you can try out. So I think Zpite is one platform that I am aware of, which is a no code platform. So try that out. That might simplify your experience of building an application without knowing too much of a programming, and it gives a kind of an experience drag and drop. And there are a few more that does the same thing, which makes the app development far more simpler for a non-programmer. Any other questions, anyone, before we wrap up the session? Fantastic. Glad to interact with you all, guys, and love the questions. And I give back the mic to the host.
Thank you, Ravikant sir, for sharing your insightful thoughts on future trends and opportunities about blockchain. Now, before inviting our second speaker, I will again like to remind you that there is an exciting news at the end, so be there. Now, I would like to invite our second speaker, Tulsiram, Web3 Solution Lead at Polygon Labs. Now, I would like to hand over my mic to him. Thank you. Hello, everyone. There is some technical issue, so our speaker is joining within 2 minutes, so be there. Till that, if you have any queries, you can post in the comment section. We will surely like to invite your queries at the end. Now, I would like to invite our second speaker, Tulsiram, Web3 Solution Lead at Polygon Labs. Now, I would like to hand over my mic to him. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, okay. Sure. That's great. Hi everyone. Nice meeting you all today. This is Tulsiram. I'm a solution lead at Polygon. I'm a solution engineer. I was working there since like more than 1.5 month, more than 1.5 years. Sorry. I'm trying to present my screen. One sec. Okay. Sorry guys, this is first time for me, so a little bit nervous. Yeah, one sec. Okay. Um, 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 can you hear me? And also, please let me know if you can see my presentation. Okay, got it. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, hi guys. Again, this is Tulsiram. I'm a solution lead at Polygon. So here are my links. You can collect with me, and just I will like give you a very brief introduction about me. It's like before joining in the Polygon, I used to be a freelancer. I was here in the Web3 space since like very early days of Ethereum. So I created a lot of dApps and also like smart contracts. I'm a certified smart contract auditor as well. So that's brief about me. And the agenda for this meeting is like, this is the one. So I will, it is like, imagine this is like a complete DApp kind of introduction. So I mean, like you will get to know a little bit about accounts and wallets, and also you will see like how we can actually use DApps and also smart contracts. And in the next part, we are going to create some smart contracts as well. And like we will deploy it, and if time permits, we can actually try to integrate that, explore these various Web3 tools as well. So that's the agenda for this meeting, and like I want to be as much interactive as well. So I will try to make it more hands-on instead of explaining everything here. So next thing is like in the beginning is accounts. So I mean like accounts are very important things in the Web3 space, because it is actually the identification of a user. It's theoretically this is a representation of a user or something, an entity or something like that. So this is where accounts are like essentially the things which are like connected to the EVM, which is Ethereum virtual machine, and it is like not mainly it is having like two types. One is like EOC, and second thing is like smart contract accounts. Smart contracts, not accounts. So EOC is like an external one accounts. The external one accounts has like two things. One is like private key and also public key. So I mean, you can actually like generate private key. It is just like 64 hex characters in the EVM. It represents like it is actually created. We can create using like some like various libraries. We can generate those 64 characters, which is a private key. Then private key actually holds like account. So that is essentially the account, and it is like the private key can actually generate the public key, which is nothing but a Kachak 256 version of like the version of this public key, which is like we can actually take that last 20 parts, 20 bytes, and that is actually your public address. So we are having like three things here. One is like account, which is like key pair of private and public keys, and that public key, if we do like hashing of that, and we take like last 20 bytes on it, that is actually the account address, like public address. So this will represent like whatever we see in the like the ether scanner, I mean Polygon scanner anywhere. So this is what represents the user account or something like that. But in the back, and to that, there is like a private key and public key associated with that. So I don't know, you can see this is like Ganesh. Let me know you can actually can see it. Okay. Can you see it? My screen sharing, the Ganesh. I'm trying to share my screen to present complete screen. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Can you see now? Can you see now? Okay. Yeah, this is actually the Ganache. This is used by like almost all Solidity and like DApp developers. So if you can see, like you can install it like from the internet, and if you see, it will give like around 20 accounts in the beginning, and everything will have like around 20, 100 each of them. So this is called like public address. What we represent, like we see it, and we actually like share with the like other people if we requesting funds or something like that. But if you see this thing, so this is the private key, which you should not share anywhere. This private key. This is what I told you about. So every account will have a, like, different private key. So as you can see here, this is actually, if you lost your private key, that means like you lost everything, your funds and everything has gone. So so we have to like save it in a very safe way, and we should not show this private key to anyone. So that's about accounts. And next thing is like where is this? So next thing is like we have here is smart contracts. So smart contracts are I think I can make it smaller. So smart contracts are like as you can see, this is actually the building blocks of dApps. So we created these smart contracts with using either Solidity or Viper, and like some other block in an EVM ecosystem, and in other blockchains there is a different languages for creating smart contracts. So the difference between normal accounts and smart contracts is like the normal account does not have code associated with it. It's just having a balance and everything, and nouns and other things. But smart contracts will have like code associated with that. So the smart contract, we code that in the Solidity, and that bytecode and everything is associated with that. And one more thing is like both of them has this like public address, as we see in the like the Gnash. Both of them does have these public addresses. So and like both of them having like you can see, you can actually search in the like scans, Etherscan and Polyscan anywhere. But only difference that we are having is like between the EOS external one account and also smart contracts is smart contracts does have a code associated with that, and external one account does not have that thing, and it will have like a private key as well. But like recently there is a like new EIP proposed, which is like the EIP 4337. So in this EIP, like Ethereum community actually decided that there is a one more like kind of accounts are there, which are like they call as smart contract accounts. So these accounts are very new. Like there are like a lot of advantages with that. Like I will briefly introduce those things. So for example, this private key is essential. If you lost your private key, you lost your funds and everything here. But in the smart contracts accounts, you can actually like revoke those private. You don't actually need the private keys, and you can actually revoke the access and revoke the funds and everything. So this is like forgetting password or something like that. This kind of functionality we can set up. But like those smart contract accounts does have the code associated with that, and those accounts does not have any private key associated with that. So these are the new things. Yeah, I think you are gonna see more and more like smart contract accounts in the future, because like the Web3 community is thinking like this is actually the future for the dApps and Web3. So as you can see, this account, like normal external one account, does have like few things associated with that. One is nouns, and second thing is balance and storage hash and code hash. So like it is for every like all accounts, like both of them. So there is a nouns. Nouns means like there is it's just a number, like an integer, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, so something like this. It is not special, like but every transactions we made on the blockchain, every transaction we send it on the blockchain, it will increase the nouns. So like for example, for the first transaction, the nouns is like like imagine like 1 2 3 4 5. In the like after 100 transactions, the nouns will be like 100 or something like that. So this is how the nouns will increase. And like it will have a balance, like for example, in Ethereum it will have a ether, in the Polygon it will have a like matic. So both are internally, both things are same, but we just like the chains are different and the names are different. And storage hash is like if there is any like storage associated with that, like any for example, if we deploy a smart contracts and it will have some values, like you will see in the like in the smart contract section, it will have some kind of storage in the smart contract, and those those like storage things will be like hashed, and it will represent that thing. And there is a thing called code hash as well, like if there is any code associated with that, it will have that reference to that. So these are the four things every contract, every account will have. So I mean, like next we are going to see about like wallets. So can yeah. So wallets. I want to like see. I want to give a demo like how we can install like MetaMask. MetaMask is like very popular Web3 wallet. Wallet means like just like you can actually think wallet as a D app. So it's just nothing but D app. So it will have some kind of like it will connect to the blockchain, and it will actually take the transactions and it will submit to the blockchain. So that's it. So that is, and it will actually like in the web it will actually put some Web3 objects to like to be accessible to like these D apps and everything to interact. So this is about wallets. I mean, like this is briefly about the wallets, and we are going to see how we can actually install like this MetaMask, and we start like using it. So just go to metamask.io and download and just install like MetaMask. This is your Chrome extension. Just like add at your, so you can see that it actually added a password. This is my super secret password. So I mean, like when you're trying to like install the MetaMask, the main thing is like it will give you these these are the like seed phrases. So these seed phrases are very, very important to recover your private key. So to recover your private key, so I mean, like if you lost these things, like two things we can actually recover, like we can use to recover these phrases. So just copy it to clipboard and like save these things in a very safe place if you want, and it will not show again, like so this is the one and only time you are actually seeing these seed phrases, and after this like screen you won't see anywhere. So this is the final attempt. So make sure and like make this seed phrase very, very safe. Otherwise, like you will lose all your funds, and also like the access to the like whatever things you have, like NFTs or anything, will be lost if you lost access to these seed phrases and our private key as well. So it will ask to okay, 3. So I mean, like it will check whether I saved it properly or not. So I will paste it. Okay. Okay, so this is actually our wallet. So as you can see, we have this account, and of course this does not have any balance in it, because we can send it. So this is actually the public address of this account. And if you can see here, settings, sorry, not settings. Okay. So import, yeah, you can see that import account means, for example, if you are having a private key, so we have a this ganache, right? So we can actually import external addresses using this private key as well. So for example, if we add this private key here, if we import it, so we can actually see that this is the 3937. Here it is like the 3937. So both are same. So we can import accounts like this, and we can actually switch between accounts and this one and this one. Yeah. So this is how we use wallets. And these are the things we can share. For example, we can send any balance or something like that. Right now we don't have any balance. So let's add, for example, right now here we have a lot of balance here. What we can, but the thing is, this is a different blockchain. This is a local blockchain. So what we can do is we can actually add this this blockchain here to this account. For example, settings, networks. So you can add for example, you can add new thing, add network. Of course, we will add Polygon as well. So add network. Add network. So we're adding a new network as ganache. We actually pasting the URL which we actually copied here. So chain ID, you can, both are same, chain ID, network ID. So let's put, this is also ETH. Okay, so this is it's suggesting to put 1337. So as you can see, one of our accounts should have 100 Ether. So this is actually from this network. This is the local network. So we can actually transfer funds something like here, because we don't have any real Ether right now here. So we can actually, what we can do is we can transfer 50 ETH from this account to this account. We can just click it to have this thing, and we can send. Okay. So we can send 20 ETH to that address. So as you can see, the Ether balance has decreased, and this is actually the slightest has been used for gas, as a gas fee. And as you can see, the account only have has 79, and the account one is having 20 ETH here. So this is how we transfer transfer the money. from one account to one account, like Ether one account to one account. Yeah.
Hello. Ram, am I audible?
Yeah, yes.
Can you please elaborate last few steps, because people have some doubts in that.
Okay. So last two steps is like, transferring funds, right? Is that right?
Yes.
Transferring funds?
Let me wait for the person who has doubt. Like their Bhagyashri was doubt in last few steps. Like I think that step include of transfer of payments. Maybe.
Concept of gas. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Bhagyasri. So, okay. Yeah. I can actually tell you, explain you. So this is like, I'm just giving the demonstration of like, the sending Ether from one account to one account. So imagine each account is like a bank balance. So bank balance is like, we have we have some account number, and also it associated with some kind of balance. So Ether is a native balance, like native token in the Ethereum, and Polygon, like Matic, is the like, native currency for the Polygon chain, and also like, Solana, it's a different currency. So each thing will have like, one native currency. And if we want to, for example, when we create an account, we don't have anything like, in our account. For example, we can actually add one more account here. We can say it like an account 3. Account 3, imagine this account does not have any balance, like, it has like, zero balance. So but like, to do the transaction, we need to like, for example, if we are interacting with any blockchain, there is a thing called gas. So for a gas means like, somebody asked in the comment, gas means like, it is like, paying some amount to actually include the transaction in the blockchain. So imagine how these like, our Web2 systems will work. So Web2 system will work something like this. So what happened is like, the maintenance, like, back end and everything will actually maintained by some other like, some company. And what we do, like, we are actually paying for services, like, to actually, for example, if we are doing some bank transaction or something like that, all the infrastructure and everything will be actually like, maintained by that bank. And like, whenever we are sending some kind of money to one person, what will it will charge like, around 5 rupees or 10 rupees, like, which will be deducted from our account to actually creating that transaction and executing the transaction from the back end. So the infrastructure and everything will actually like, handled by that company or bank. But like, we don't actually do anything to do that, and we actually pay some kind of extra money to the bank to actually creating that kind of transaction, like executing that transaction. Likewise, here in the in the blockchain system, so these, for example, it will need infrastructure. So Ethereum, it doesn't like, it's a not it's a blockchain is nothing but it's a like, it's a connection of a lot of computers. For example, in Ethereum, it have like hundreds of thousands validator nodes. Validator nodes are like, nothing but a servers running by like, some random guys, like, you and me. We can actually create some like, Ethereum node or like validator node, and we can actually start running our validator node. But like, how we are actually going to compensate for that? So we actually like, for example, running the server, we will actually have like, we need to pay a lot of gas for these cloud companies. So it is like, these, that's why like, we are having like system called gas. Gas is nothing but like, some kind of transaction fee. We can actually relate something like that. The transaction fee for every transaction, there will be some gas required in the, which is in the native currency, like, in Ethereum it is Ether, in the Polygon it is like Matic. So it will be deducted and it will transfer to those validators who running these validator nodes. So what it will give you, like, it will make the servers decentralized, because like, it is the server will not it can't able to control like one company or something like that. So for the Ethereum, like anybody can actually go and set up their validator node, and they're starting like doing evaluating transactions. So whenever we are submitting the transaction, for example, we are actually transferring 10 20 ETH or something like that to one account, that is called a transaction. So when this transaction, what will happen is like for example, right now imagine like so we actually copy this address, we copied this address. So imagine we are having like around 80 ETH here. So for example, here we are sending this it is not, somehow it is okay. So account 3, so we actually like selected this account. If we want to send like 10 ETH to this account, like for example account 3 to the account 3, from account 1 we are actually sending like 10 ETH. So this is actually called a transaction. So when we are actually click next here, for example next here, so what it will do is like it will create a transaction, and it will show you how much gas fee, like for example transaction fee you need to pay to submit this transaction and like into the blockchain. So what will happen is like once I actually click confirm here, what happened in the like you can see that this is transaction is pending, it's executed. Actually what will happen is like for example this transaction will be signed by this account to private key, and that transaction will be actually sent to the blockchain, which is this this blockchain, for example, running the resources and everything, we need to pay for that. So what will happen is, for example, whoever running this validator node, who are actually put your transaction on the blockchain, he will get that gas fee. He will get most of the gas fee right now. Because of 155, and there is a split between that. But the main thing is the gas fee will go to these validators who are actually submitting your transactions into the blockchain. So they will get compensated for their their resources and everything by this gas fee. So this is the gas fee. And whenever we are actually sending the transaction, we are actually paying that some amount of gas fee using using these native tokens, which is Ethereum or Matic. Is it clear now? Okay, please repeat how to add account from Ganesh to MetaMask. So you can actually select any private key, not just Ganesh. Just add this is the private key. You can just copy it here, and you can actually in the MetaMask. So here accounts, what you can actually click on import accounts, and you can paste it, the private key. You just select private key and paste it and just import. Yeah, see account 4 has been added. So it is 3424. You can see in the Ganesh it is 3424. So this is how you will add these things. Yeah, thank you. So yeah, let's move on. Okay, I will. This is how we actually use the wallets. Next thing is I will show you how you will actually for example, right now we connected with this this is like a sample blockchain. We are closing this, and now we are actually going to use real world applications to see how these things will work. So this is the next topic. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm actually taking my screen away, and I'm adding my real wallet to this. My real account, because I don't want to show that because my private keys are there. So real accounts, and I will show you how these things will work. So in the meantime, please submit your comments like if you used any D apps or anything before to this. Okay. Yeah, as somebody mentioned, like you can actually download Ganache from the internet directly. You can just download it from the internet. Can you see my screen? About me, Kiran Kumar. Okay. Yeah, as I mentioned, I am solutions lead at Polygon. That's about me. Yeah. So as you can see from this like an account, you can actually see that there is I have some Ether. Now I'm actually switching to like Polygon. So if you if you don't already know about like Polygon is like EVM compatible blockchain. I mean, like it is just like all the smart contracts we created for the Ethereum will directly work on here, and it will have like very less gas fee. So that's why I'm actually like using this. And now I will show something like for example Uniswap. Few are the day apps we use in the Web3. So one of the biggest thing in the Web3 is like Uniswap. So Uniswap we use for like swapping the tokens. So like for example, if you are having like an Ether or like Matic token, but you want to have like USDC or USDT or something like that. So do you want to like stake it somewhere or something like that? I will show you how to stake and unstake and these kind of things. But for staking means like for example, if you are depositing like for example, it is like other currencies. For example, it is US dollars or something like that. We do like something like a forex or something. We will buy forex and when it increase, like we will sell it and we will get a benefit or something like that. So same way, like we can actually have like different tokens, and we can actually stake it, and we can actually get some kind of gains here. Or what we'll do is like we will lend like some amount of our tokens. We put on the like protocols like Aave, and we will get some kind of reward from their interest, and they will actually charge whenever somebody is actually taking a loan. They will charge some amount, and that amount we will actually get some kind of we'll get refund. So is the screen is not clear? Let me know if I am audible to you. Somebody said in the unable to hear. Can you hear me? Okay, sure. So yeah, okay. So I mean, like this is like swapping tokens. So we will connect. So just make sure you put like the MetaMask here. Polygon chain. So for example, right now we are having Matic. As you can see, we are having like around 8 Matic here. We want to like convert it to like USDC or USDT. So for example, in the normal scenario, if you want to like have like US dollars, what you have to like you have to go to bank and you have to pay some premium money, and like you will get some kind of like other currencies or anything like that. But it is like this is the Uniswap is like a decentralized, one of the decentralized protocol where you can actually directly swap your tokens here. So for example, if I want to have like I want to one Matic to select tokens, so I want to have like USDT or DAI. These are like stable coins. Stable coins are like if you the price of the coin will be like standard. It's like pegged to $1 or something like that. So you just need to go to app.uniswap.org. You don't need to download anything. Just go to the website. I don't know. I can actually share it in the chat. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, this is actually uniswap.org. You can go there and you can actually do that. So I want to convert like around five of my tokens, Matic tokens, to USDT. So for example, so I want to connect the wallet first. So this is how like whenever you are connecting the wallet, please read these messages, like because there are like some fake accounts just look like Uniswap and everything, and once you like authorize the transaction, you will lost all your funds. So please check this the URL, and also like whenever you are actually accepting anything on the MetaMask, try to be check like what is your, it will show like what is the things you will actually see account and everything. So once you connected, you will see something like this. So you are actually transferring Matic to USDT. So we are actually converting 5 Matic tokens to like it's like 3.444 USDT. So I mean like when we click on swap, so we will see all the things here. So we are paying 5 Matic, and like it is, you will get like 3.44 USDT, and network fees is like around 0.1, and minimum received, like you can actually see that there is some USDT actually decreased. That is actually the protocol charge. So if you confirm the swap, it will ask you like what are the things. So what are the things you will actually like get here? You can see like gas fee, estimated gas fee, and this is the gas fee you want to pay. You have to pay like 0.2 Matic extra to actually submit this transaction. This is actually the gas fee. So in the it is 0.02 means it's just like $0.001 or something like that. But in the Ethereum, it is like, it is in dollars, like, around $3-4 it will cost. And in the network high time, it will, the dollar value will be increased. So that's why I'm using Polygon here. So it will, you can see that it will submit the transaction, and we will get the confirmation once the transaction is finished. So yeah, it is successful. So we swapped 5 Matic tokens to 3.444 USDT. So you can, like, so we don't have, like, we in the Explorer. So this is the, we can actually see that this transaction happened or not. In this, like, this is the polyscan. We can actually observe, like, all the things from to, this is like contract and, like, token transfer and everything here. So this is the like, USDT here. So as you can see, even though we actually transfer, like, swap the tokens, you don't actually see any tokens here, because, like, the MetaMask, we haven't added any token here. Like, for example, we have to add manually, say DT, sorry, token decimal 18 general. Yeah. So we can actually check here. So how many decimals are there? So it is having 6 decimals. Okay. So it seems like it is having, yeah. So the problem here is, like, we haven't added the USDT. Now we're actually adding this USDT to this, and once we like import it, you can actually see that like, tether here, and we are having, like, 3.44 like the USDT of tether here. So this is how we actually, like, swapped tokens and everything. So now anyway, if we add, like, we see, like, we open this MetaMask, we can actually directly see we are having some tether here. So this is a yeah, Uniswap is to swap crypto, correct? So this is for swapping thing. And also, like, there is one more thing. It is, I don't think it is relevant, but, like, you can actually stake if you are having, like, tokens and everything. You can actually stake here, and you can actually get reward. So for example, if you see, it's supposed to get, like, 3.55 USDT, but we only got, like, 3.44. These 0.022 is will actually go whoever actually supplied this like, USDT in the liquidity pools. Yes, correct, that's true. Yeah, so this is about it. And one more thing, one more app I want to give you a heads up is, like, Aave. So Aave is like, this is like, liquidity protocol, and we can actually like, we can take liquidity for the interest, and, like, we can borrow some assets, and we can actually give, like, we can put our things, and the protocol will actually give some loans to, like, whoever required it, and we will get some kind of interest on it. So we can, once we launch our app, it will ask you to connect. see, you can check the network. We are actually Polygon POS, and like we can see like what are the things we are having. So it will automatically show you what are the things we have, and if we supply here, we can actually borrow here. So two things you have, two options. One thing is supply, and one thing is borrow. So to get the borrow, you don't actually directly get. So you have to supply something, and then you will get borrowing. For example, I'm actually supplying 3 USDT here, and I'm actually approving the USDT transaction here. Okay. So as you can see, this is often you can see these kind of things. So this means this is, I think it added very newly, but the thing is you can actually approving transaction here. What you are approving is you are actually approving the transaction, saying that okay, so this Aave can actually spend my USDT, and you are actually giving what is the how much amount this Aave can actually spend my USDT. So once you give approve for 1 million tokens, it can actually use without without your, of course these protocols are more secure than others, but the theoretically you are actually giving the option for Aave to actually spend all your tokens. So please make very sure that you are actually giving proper value. Here I'm actually only giving three USDT. Yes, recently it came from POW. Yes, proof of work to proof of stake. Yes, that's true. So I mean it actually we are giving only 3 USDT to spend, and we kind of approved it. And second thing, you have to submit one more transaction. This is just for approving. Once we approve that this protocol can actually use my USDT, then I need to supply. So it is having 2 transactions I'm putting. You can actually see that how much I'm APY will be per year. So it is 2.76%. So yeah, so we actually approve the transaction, and once we click on this, we actually trying to we supply these tokens. And as you can see, this is the gas fee. For each transactions we are submitting in the blockchain, we need to pay the gas fee. Those gas fee will go to the validators and everything. So we confirm this transaction, and we wait for confirmation. And here you can actually see that the transaction is pending. And if you want to speed up this transaction, oh, it's already done. So, but if it is taking long time, what you can do is you can actually offer more gas fee, and then you can actually submit the transaction to make it faster. So right now I'm having 3 USDT. What I can do is right now I can actually borrow something. So from here, because I'm having some assets put here, I can actually borrow something. I don't know. So I actually supplied collateral. I can actually use this as a collateral to do this thing, and they will actually give me some I can actually borrow according to the collateral I have supplied. For example, if I supplied 100 USDT, which I don't have right now, I can actually borrow around 50 US other coins, other tokens. So for example, now I am actually want to borrow this DAI. This is also a stable coin. For example, if I want to borrow, you can actually see that, okay, how much we can actually borrow. It's 2.23. This much we can actually borrow. This is we have to pay. This is the amount interest we have to pay if we borrow per year. and this is like stable. These both are like we can actually choose it is variable, it will increase and decrease, or it is a stable kind of interest rate. So we're actually click on this and we borrow like I don't need like a lot of things. I just wanted to borrow one die, so I just borrow one. Yeah, for stable coins, it is like up to 80%. But like, for Ethereum, something like that, it is a little bit lesser. Yeah, and yeah, that's true. That's a very important point. So I mean, like, what happened if the like price fluctuated? So imagine right now we're actually like borrowed and also deposited these stable coins, and these stable coins are like it's not very much fluctuated, at least critically. So that we can actually make sure that okay, this will never be liquidated. But what happen if the like the one asset, for example, the deposit, we deposit like some asset which will and for example we deposit in the deposited, and we actually got like 50 die. So for example, if this asset we provided is actually decrease the price, it will actually go to down. What will happen is like this health factor will decrease. So now it is like 2.40 health factor. Once this health factor decreases below 0, what will happen is they will actually sell our 50% of our assets which we deposited, and they will actually repay this amount, like some of the amount to the borrowed. So I mean, like what happened is like if this asset price decreases and this asset price is stable or like or increases, this health factor will come below 0, sorry, below 1. And if that happens, this token, the supply token will be sold out automatically, and this this will be paid 50% or something to pay, will be repaid automatically to this asset to actually make that balance. So it will try to make it like always above 1. So yeah, this is the main thing. So I mean, like what we can do is like, for example, we can actually repay our after like we use die and like we got again this die. What we can do is like we can actually repay the one with the interest as well. So with some interest. So we are approving the protocol to like do that thing. Okay. Okay. Repay die. Okay. So we actually repaid. Excuse me. So we actually repaid our die, but there is a like this is what the interest we need to pay to completely remove this thing. So within that time span, it actually accrued this much interest for us. So we had to pay this thing as well. And we can actually withdraw our USDC as well, like if you want, but I don't want to do that thing right now. So just keep it like that. So this is about using some. Of course, there are a lot of other things as well. Like we can there are some NFTs and like gamings and everything are there, but I don't want to because of the time I don't want to go into that. I'm checking where is my presentation. Okay, so this is about the DApps. And next thing we want to discuss in this time is smart contracts. Yeah. So now we are actually going to enter into the real thing, the smart contracts. So I mean, could you please tell me in the chart how many actually created smart contracts before? Is there anyone created smart contracts before? Okay, so yeah, okay, yeah, that's good, that's great. So now we are going to create some smart contract. So I don't want to give some random things you can actually get it in the online. So so I don't want to create some basic smart contracts or something like that. I want to create one use case and I want to create the smart contract. So for example, we want to create a legitimate use case and we want to convert that use case on the smart contract. So smart contracts are, I want to give some kind of introduction here. Smart contracts are this is programs. We actually put it on the blockchain, and once we deploy the smart contracts, we can't able to change. So forever, as long as the blockchain is there, we can't able to change anything. So it is like a bond paper or something like that. We are agreements or something like that. Once the agreement has written and legalized, we can't able to change it. So that is how the smart contracts will work. So these are a piece of code which will live on the Ethereum, and it will execute the instructions and everything whichever we prepared in the before, and those things will never change. So that is the main purpose of the smart contracts. Why we are having smart contracts here is for example, we are having some program which is deployed on the web2 kind of backend. What will happen is the company itself can actually change, do the some kind of changes. Imagine we are having a bank. Theoretically, what it can do is it can actually update our balances by itself, without telling us or without having our permission. It can actually do that. It's possible. Of course, the regulations are there, but the theoretically it can actually do that. We can actually make our balances zero or something like that. But the smart contract is once we deploy on the blockchain, yes, the immutability is the right word. So once we deploy the smart contracts in the blockchain, it's there and it will forever, it will be there. And we can't able to influence or anything in the way of that program will execute or do the transaction will work. So that's why we actually, for example, these protocols and everything, Uniswap and Aave and these protocols, once we deploy it will stay like that. It will stay forever like that only. And we can't able to, nobody even the the developers want to make that kind of changes. It's not possible because the smart contracts are already deployed on the blockchain, and they are immutable, and we can't able to change anything, and nobody influence there. So that is the main purpose. So I mean, I'm when I want to create some give you some something coding thing with you, I was thinking any use case. So I got one travel. So I'm a very big traveler. So I would travel around 30 countries. I will be traveling almost 2-3 times in a year. I'm a kind of digital nomad. So I will be traveling and working. This is how I work. So I mean, because I'm a big traveler, I want to create some kind of travel fund smart contract. So in Yeah, so admin can redeploy smart contracts, but the address of the smart contract is different. And like, of course there is a upgradable pattern out there, but like, in that kind of thing, the logic will be changed, but the state of the smart contract will be same. So because like, all the smart contracts code, we can actually see that we can check it before like, we submit transactions, and like, we can check how the code will look like, and like, a lot of Ethereum community is there who will actually are always analyzing like the code and everything, audit reports and everything, and they will make sure that like, if there is any bug or something like that, they will report, and they will make us aware if there is anything in the smart contract. Yeah, so I mean, like, my want to like, make these smart contracts like, one for travel fund. So imagine like, we are in this one college, we're all like, classmates or something. So we want to create some like, we want to go somewhere. So let me know in the comments like, which place you want to go as a trip or something. So I mean, like, so that the purpose of this smart contract is like, we will collect some funds. So for example, we need like, around $1,000 or something, or 1,000 Matic tokens to like, for like, to participate in this here. And okay, Uti, yeah, sure. So are there any other places? Himalaya? Okay, nice. So we want to go some place. Haven't. Okay, so want to go someplace, and that place is, we don't have like, full funding. So what we'll do is like, we will deploy a smart contracts. Whoever like, interested to attend that like, tour, what they will do is they will actually give some funds to that smart contract, and when they give that fund, they will be like, they will be automatically become like a member of that tour. So we will set like the minimum how much actually like, the required funding, required amount, total amount, and we can actually set each user is like, okay, each user should give like, one Matic or two Matic or something, or one Ether or something like that. And like, when we achieve this goal, and we can actually redeem that like, funding, and we can go for the tour. So this is the like, idea behind this. So I mean, like, to make it like, step by step, what we can do is like, we will have one admin who actually create these smart contracts, and that admin will actually deploy, and he will redeem like, these tokens, like, whenever like, when he got like, sufficient funding. So and the admin that admin can actually accept whoever can actually participate. So they can actually take their public addresses, and they can actually add who can give that fund, like, who can join. And because like, it is inter college, like, within college, they don't want to like, go want other college guys to like, join this meet. So that's why the admin have that kind of privilege to like, accept like, who can actually deposit and join this tour. And so, and there will be certain limit, there will be some kind of sometime like 15 days or something like that, that what admin will give like, as a time limit. After that time limit, the admin will actually close that funding, or like, if he got sufficient funding, and he will close that like, that fundraising. And once that happen, user can't able to like, deposit anything in that smart contract. And the last things, and one more thing is like, the user can actually withdraw. So if they actually want to join, and they contributed, but they had like, some problem before going to the like, travel, and they don't want to participate in that, they can actually withdraw their money, and they can go, they can actually withdraw from the tour as well. So, and last thing is like, once we got sufficient funding, sufficient amount, the admin can actually withdraw the money and close that funding. Once the funding got closed, the admin can actually withdraw money, and they can actually utilize those funding for the user. And also one more thing is like, I forgot to mention here, once the funding finish, the admin can actually check, okay, this participant is actually eligible whether he actually contributed to the tour or not, and he can check it, and he or she can allow to the users to the tour. So this is actually the whole use case. This is not just like a random smart contract. This is like your complete use case we are creating as a smart contract. So bear with me for this, and let's do that. So we are actually going to use the Remix. Remix is it's like an IDE. If you know VS Code or anything like that, this is something like that. The good thing about this thing is it is actually browser based, so you don't need to install anything, any software or anything like that, and you can just start using that. You can actually create your own workspace and start doing that. Okay. Okay, so we will switch to this. We will remove. These are the these are the basic things. It will come give you some kind of introduction how to use it, but we are actually creating new file here. So what is the name? Is there any? Yeah, it's step by step. Yes. So you can just checking which city we want to go there. Ukraine, heaven. Okay, so let's make it Goa. So I want to. So you can see that because we are actually creating this Solidity, the extension will be SOL, not SOL. So we are going to create this as a we can name it as anything, but I'm actually making it as a Goa smart contract. So every smart contract will have three things. One is SPDX licensing. So SPDX license identifier will be there. Otherwise, it is not mandatory, but it will you will get a lot of errors on it. So SPDX license. So SPDX is actually it will represent the what kind of license we want to use. I want to put MIT because you can actually copy it and use it. Anything you can do it with that. So sorry, how to add Goa? Okay. Yeah, just naming the file. So you can actually, so for example, it is, if you want to add new file, you just add new file, and you can actually create whatever thing is like that. So this is the file, and next thing is we want to include the this version of the Solidity that we are using. So there is the Pragma Solidity. So we want to use the version of the Solidity because it is mandatory, because the compiler will actually check the the version. So right now it is 0.20. So 0.20 is the latest version of this. 0.8.20 is the latest version. but I'm here I'm using 0.8.16 because like this I want to connect with this local ganache, and this ganache might not support the version. So this is fine. This is we can do that. And one more last thing we want to third very important part is we have to put naming of the smart contracts. So for example, it is a contract. So Goa, and this is if you are familiar with the JavaScript, it is almost similar. The picture and everything is almost similar. So now we can actually we can put various things. So user admin will be there, and users with balances. So users will have some balances. And one more thing is I mean we can actually make it as a contribution. And one more thing we need to track as a variable is is this the is it running? Is it finished? So once the funding has been finished, it will close accepting users and everything. And one more thing is we have to mention what is the minimum amount of ether or something to contribute. So for example, if we required 1 ether for each user to join, it is a minimum. So if it is if you provided the 0.20 ether, they are not accepted to travel. So that's how we have to make it one constant ether amount. So we have to now these are the main variables we have to track. So I mean as if you are familiar with other programming languages, these are Solidity also have some variable types. For example, we have integers and booleans. We don't have any floats. That's why we put each integer, each token is there will be some decimals. Number of for example 10 to the power of 18 for each token we will actually put, because we don't have decimal system here in the Solidity. So we don't have 0.20 or something like that. Of course, we represent in the externally we represent something like that, but in the EVM level there is no 0. Decimals or something like that. So we have an admin. So admin is and a new thing about new for the programmers. If you are not familiar with the Solidity, there are multiple other kind of types are there. For example, address. So address means we are having, this is the address. So there is a type called address. What it will do is it will actually detect and store addresses. For example, admin is address. How we actually detect each user? Because using their addresses. So that's why admin is an address. We track who is actually admin, and that admin will have a full power to actually withdraw these balances and do anything. So this is address admin, and we have to put semicolon after each line, each thing, because that is how it works. Otherwise you will get an error. And we are actually having one more type called mapping. So mapping means, for example, we have each user actually contributed how much, we can actually track it. So for example, if we put 2 ethers as a minimum amount, so user can actually deposit multiple times. So this mapping will actually track who actually deposited, and also when user want to withdraw their funds, how much they deposited, it will actually give the tracking. So this is how the mapping will look like. So you actually put mapping keyword over there, and you want to you need to provide what are the keys and key value pair. So in JavaScript, what we will do is for example, hello. So this is how, for example, if you want, there is a mapping or dictionary. We say hello. This is for example, key is 1. Ram. So it's imagine it's a user's dictionary or something like that. 2. So something like this. So how we will actually want to we want, if you want to check the value or there, what we will do is for example, we put this dictionary as a const names. So we will do something like this. How we will represent this thing is for example, sorry for my spellings. So for example, we will do something like this in the JavaScript. So it will actually give RAM as a as a value. This is key. Of course, we had to put 1. Something like this. So here the key is anything and value also anything in the JavaScript. But here we have to specifically need to put that what is the type of the each key value pair is. So for example, right now we are actually mapping user with user addresses and also with user balances. So for example, user addresses is the address, as we can see before. We had to put something like this, and balance we actually count it in for an uint 256. So this is we put because we only have ints in Java, other languages, but this is if you are familiar with Rust and these kind of things, we have something like this. So this is almost similar. Each token and everything each ether or matic is it is uint 256. So this is the type, and we actually make it contribution. And one more thing is we also need to map once the user admin actually whitelisted, we have to see that is the user is in team. So we have to check whether admin actually approved that user to join this funding or not. So one more mapping we have to use one address and boolean. So for boolean, we actually put something like this. So there is one more parameter we have to put on these state variables. What we can do is whether we can actually put public. Once we put public, or we just leave it like that, it will automatically create some get function. We can actually evaluate, we can see what are the things are stored in this kind of mapping. And if we put private here, private, that means these values is actually only available in the smart contract only, and it will not be accessible outside of the smart contract. And one more thing is we have one more thing called internal. So internal keyword is it is also a visibility factor. The internal means the smart contracts, and also the smart contract actually extended from this thing. So it's a object oriented thing. So if we extend something from the smart contract, and those things are actually having the access to this, and apart from that, nothing will be there. So nobody in the outer world, it is not having any access. So these are the 3 access parameters we have to learn in the Solidity Smart Solidity world. So we actually put nothing here. That means it is public, so it is publicly accessible. And one more thing is we have to see bool is it. closed. So is it closed means like no admin wants to like no close the like funding, he can actually close that. And amount is like you this is actually the amount we are actually going to accept from each user. We can actually put amount minimum is we can put it like not 2 ether. So ether, or we can actually put like 18 zeros after this. So that is also there, but this is like a convention. We don't want to put like 18 zeros after this 2. We can just put ether. It will automatically the compiler will kind of understand what is there. So and one more thing, these are like state variables, and there are like one more thing is very important is like constructor. So constructor means like this code, whatever we are doing in this is actually run by only one time. Like whenever the smart contract is deploying, this constructor will run, and after that it will not run forever. So this is the only time if you want to like pass any variables, and those like once we want to like pass it, and then like we don't want to change anything. This is the place we have to like do that thing. So for example, right now what we are doing is like whoever deployed these smart contracts is an admin. So for example, right now this admin is actually nothing, like it's having like zero address, 00000 address, and we want to like this admin, we want to like give the whoever deployed a smart contract is going to be an admin, and that cannot be changed after that. Like once we deploy the smart contract, we can't able to change that admin. So that's why we actually like added admin. He's like this is the one time code running. So what we want to add is like whoever deployed the smart contracts, he is going to be an admin. So how we get like this address, like how whenever I'm deploying the smart contract, how it will recognize that address is actually like the some address or something like that. So that's why in Solidity there is one more type or like variable is there to make our lives easy. msg.sender. So this is actually the like whoever this is like message sender is the address of the user who actually whoever deployed the smart contract or whoever sent the transaction. It will automatically extract that address and it is actually assigned to message.sender value. So whenever we assign like this thing to the admin, this means like the one time whenever this code is getting deployed, this variable will be assigned to like the address of the like user, and it cannot be changed forever. And like and one more thing we have to do is like because is it closed is there, so we have to make it open whenever like we are deploying. So equal to false. So we can actually right now the default value for like bool is of course false, but we are actually assigning. So okay, then we can is it. We can say something like that too, so that you can understand. So this is like boolean is it open is like by default it's false. So what we are doing is like we are actually making is as a true. So whenever this smart contract deployed, this will make automatically true, and it is open for like accepting these funds. So the main, and one more thing is like if you want to do anything like apart from this any modification in the state variables or anything like that, this is where you have to do something like that. And one more thing after this, there are one more thing we have to learn in the smart contract world is like an event. Event means like these are the events are emitted in the like an EVM, and these are like non-mutable, immutable. Sorry. So once the event actually emitted with some value, those will be like accessible to all the EVM. Like we can actually catch it from the JSON RPC URLs, or it will be there forever. It will be stored forever, and nobody can't able to mutate those things. And these are the things in events are very, very important. Something like, for example, detecting transfer. If somebody want to create a bridge from like one network to one network, for example, Ethereum to Polygon, they actually required events. If you know how the oracles work internally, events are the reason for that. So events are very, very important in the Solidity or smart contract world. So what we'll do is we can actually create some hooks to listen these events, and we can actually do whatever we want according to these events. And these events, to access these events, it will not consume any gas once it already emitted, and it will be there forever in the chain. So that's about events. Is there any questions? Yeah. So yeah, this is about events. And for example, right now we are having we want to present some events here. Whenever the user join, it will actually emit an event. So we have to this is how the event will be created. So there is a name. We will put a variable called name called event, and we will give a name to it, and we will pass the any parameter type, for example, address. So for example, if I join, what we'll do is it will emit this event, user joined event, with my address. So this is how I can actually detect once it is once we want to check the logs, and we can actually see it. And one more event we want to create is event funding closed. So see, this is actually saying once the admin actually close the funding, and this will be emitted, and it will actually does not have anything in it, just it, so that users can user applications or anything like that, they can actually catch those events, and it will actually circulate or send a message or do something like that. So these are the two things we want to do that thing. And one more thing is there are things called modifiers. Modifier is this is the modifier is this kind of function, but it's not kind of fully function, and we can actually call it before proceeding to the next step. So I will show you how we can actually do this thing. So we can use this modifier only for functions only admin can do. So for example, withdrawing funds or adding a new user or something like that, we require admin, right? So instead of checking every time, what we will do is we can actually just put this modifier, and this modifier will automatically check whether this actually transaction is coming from the admin or any other user. So this is how it will work. Is admin is a we name it as a as is admin, and the modifier is the function name we have to provide before this. And what we will do is msg dot. So I will So what this will do is like, if we put this admin modifier in any function, what it will do is like, it will check whoever sending the transaction is admin or not, like, because we have a stored variable here. It only allow next steps. For example, this is actually the next step only if the user the sending the transaction is admin. Otherwise it will actually cancel that, revert the transaction, and it will show this error message, only admin can do this. So that's it. And next thing is join. So this is a regular function. So this is the function where users can actually join. So the whole purpose for this thing is if the user actually sends some ether to this smart contract, that user will be listed as a as a team member automatically. So for example, here what it will do is we will actually there is the two things. One is message.sender, msg.sender. It will actually detect what address this transaction is coming from, and there is one more parameter is msg.value. So this is the value, the amount of the native token that we are actually receiving to this smart contract. So what we'll do is we will check this value is actually is equal or above to this minimum amount. If the only if the user send only two ether or above, then only we will actually accept him as a member. Otherwise we won't actually do that. So for example, required, we will actually do the required method again. msg.value is more than or equal to minimum account. So we have to this will actually reject the transaction, and it will actually send this error message. And one more thing is we have to check is because we are having in this thing, admin needs to add users, whether this user is actually eligible to eligible to join or not. We also need to check required sender. So this is just accessing our normal JavaScript and everywhere. So we are accessing this dictionary, this mapping, where it is saying if this sentence makes true, then we can actually proceed it. If it is not, we can actually revert the transaction only. Can join. So we can actually throw this error message. And before this, we can actually create a function where admin can actually allow user. So this is where the admin will actually allow new users to know whether they can join the team or not. So allow user, it will accept address user. Public means anybody can actually call this function, and we were actually put only admin. So as you can see, this function is adding for example, once let me add this finish this function and I will tell you. So what it we will do is we are actually making this equal to true. That means what this function will do is it will take the address and this will add to this mapping saying that, okay, this user is allowed to, like, fund and join this tool. And we are having this modifier here. That means, like, this function will run first. For example, this function will check this transaction is coming from the admin or not. If it is coming from the admin, it will actually do this thing. Otherwise, it will actually revert and it will show, like, this error message. So that is how yeah, this is how this will work. So once the user got allowed, what we will do is, like, we can actually the user can actually send the like an amount, and that amount will be added, like, for example, here contributions. So what we'll do is, like, we will contribute MSC. So what we are doing here is, like, we are actually adding to this mapping contributions. Okay, sorry. Yeah, contributions to the, like, mapping the user address, and we are adding, like, user value here to that address. So this means, like, the user address will go here as an address, and that his contribution will go here as an integer uint. So that means, like, the user joined here. Yeah. So that is like, join the tool. And what we are doing is, like, we want to emit some event here. For example, emit this event user join. And sender. So yeah, so as you can see, this whole function will, what will do is, like, it will check the user sending the minimum 2 ether, and it will also check, like, whether the user is allowed to join or not. And once it's done that, like, it will actually add to this contribution, and it will actually check it. It will emit the, like, joint event, so that, like, these events, like, these listeners can actually see that event got emitted. And one more thing is, one more function we want to do, that is function from withdraw from tour public. So what it will do is, like, withdraw from the tour is, like, once the user send the transaction, call this function, what it will happen is, like, it will actually remove this like, contribution from this mapping, and it will actually get back the deposits back to the user. So I mean, like, withdraw from the tool. So first one, we have to check whether this MSD so more than 0. So it will check whether the user already deposited or not. So it will check. What it will do is, like, it will evaluate this function. It will go to this mapping, contributions mapping, and if the user got, like, anything deposited, this will be like, this will show more than 0. Otherwise, it will actually, like, throw the error, revert the transaction, and it will show this error message. And after that, what it will do is, like, it will, once that step passed, it will actually, like, for example, MS it will actually get the balance. For example, I will tell you why I'm not directly using that mapping value after this. So user balance we are checking. So we are actually withdrawing this user balance here to the user. So this function, what it will do is like whatever the user contributed, it will actually save in this variable, and it will check whether that user is actually contributed or not. And if the user contributed, it will actually redeem all these balance he deposited in their own the user's account. So I mean, like after that, what happened is like we will need to update. For example, this user contributions, or delete this variable completely. We can delete contributions. So this way we can delete something like this. So that means the user we actually the user actually deleted from this list, and we will also delete the user from this list as well. I think. So so as we can see, we actually deleted we actually withdraw the money and deleted these things. So now the user is no longer this team member or contributor as well. But you can see that if you see this function, there is a flaw in it. So what is the flaw? The EVM is it is not like a asynchronous kind of function. What they will do is it will execute the transaction step by step. So what happens is, for example, if the user is actually running multiple transactions, attacking this function, what it will happen is for example, the user will get the balance, and also it will check user balance is more than 0 or not, and it will actually it will transfer the balance, and then it will actually go to update these variables and everything. What happened if the user didn't, the transaction didn't go next steps, and it is actually executed this step, and between this step there is one more transaction came in here, and and that thing it will actually check, and it will, because the state hasn't updated yet, so it will again check, and it will transfer again. So the user can actually attacker can actually call this function multiple times, and they can actually withdraw the funds all the funds from the smart contract. This is called reentrancy attack. So to prevent this reentrancy attack, what we will do is we have to update the state first, and then we should actually transfer any balance or something like that. So imagine what happened here. So for example, the user balance will be checked here, and the balance is 0. What it will happen is we are actually updating the state variables to 0, but we know the balance here. So because that's why I actually put into this variable, so that we actually know how much contribution is there. So we are actually remove these things for the user, and finally we actually deleted transfer the money. So for example, if the user send one more transaction before sending this balance, what it will happen is user send one transaction, it will check, and it will actually delete, and this lastly this will do. And if the second transaction is there, because this is the state already got updated, it won't actually go from until here. It will actually stop here only. So that's why we have to first update the state variables, and then we have to transfer any assets or something like that. This is very, very critical bug, and because of this bug there is lot of funds got stolen just because of this thing. So and one more thing is function. One more function is user can actually stop the funding rising. Stop funding. Stop funds. Public. This is also only admin. So what it will do is it will actually is make this so false. So this means what it will do is it will essentially shut the funding. So it will, after this point, it will actually don't accept any funds. So for example, we have to update this here also, if the required. So what we are doing is we updated this join tour function where the for example, once the funds got stopped, attendance link, this thing happened. This once it got closed, nobody can't able to join the tour anymore. So that's the thing. And last function we want to go here is withdraw. This is also only called by the admin. So what it will do is it will withdraw all the money. It will check first whether this this got stopped or not. Is it open? It should not be open. We have to close one. It only do the accept once the this funding got stopped. Fund is. So that means we haven't stopped the funding, and once we stopped, then we want to withdraw the funds. So for example, transfer. So how do we get the balance of the smart contract? So is there anyone knows? I don't see any comments. Okay, so so it is it is, so we use this keyword to to see the balance of anything, for example, this means this smart contract, this just like objective oriented programming in the JavaScript. This means this smart contracts, but we need to have address. So what we will do is we will actually cache this as address, and it will have balance. So this is the balance of the smart contract. All the balance, total balance there will be redeemed for this. And we can actually have one function to get the balance as well. This one is so you can see that there is a here we are having a few keywords. This is public, means anybody can call it. View means anybody can actually view means anybody can. This is not changing anything in the state. So that means like this is gasless. So we don't need to spend a gas to call this smart contract. And like no, what it will do is like it will not touch anything like any updates on the state of the smart contract, and it will just give you some kind of value. So what we'll do is like no, this is the balance. So this here like no, we have a like no, returns UVin 256. That means like we have to specify the what type of variable we are actually doing. So here balance is like no, UVin 256. We are actually like no, returning the balance of the smart contract. So here instead of calling thing, we can actually do this something like this to get the balance. So this is the like no, I think most of the like no functionality we will finish. We will see what we missed. Okay, so it's asking. So good thing about the like no remix is like it will show if you are done any errors or something. Okay, so this is we finished. Okay, one more error is there. Okay, sorry. Yeah, correct. So this is that. Okay. Yeah. One more thing. Okay. Okay. So so withdraw from tour. We have to like make whenever we are transferring the balance, we have to make it like payable. So that means like normal address will be like, of course this both are same, but it can actually now can accept the balance as well. Okay. Oh, sorry, not this one. And when we are joining the tour, we also make this payable function. Okay, so yeah, we finished like smart contract, and when we control save here, the smart contract will automatically compile. So or we can actually manually compile here. If there is an error, like it will actually show this thing, but we don't have any like errors here. Like just like a warning. This one, like I think I mistake spelling mistake. I have like some kind of spelling mistake here. That's it. So if you got like green tick here, that means like your smart contract got compiled in a good way. So now we want to like deploy the smart contract on somewhere like here in the like this remix, we are having, if you click on this thing, so there are like two important things we can see here. One is like file explorer. We can actually see like what are the smart contracts we are having. And second thing is like the compiler. We actually compile this thing and we see whether we have like we actually compile it properly or not. And one more thing is like this is the ABI. This is the bytecode. So for example, if you want to see what is in the ABI, is like ABI is like it's kind of representation, functional representation of this smart contract. So it is like a JSON file. It will have like all the functions and everything. So if you want to include this smart contract in your D app, like any application, you need to have this ABI. So you need to have this ABI. So this is where you have to copy here. And third thing is like this is where you actually interact with the smart contracts. So you can deploy here and you can actually like do transactions and everything here. So here you have like multiple things like this. These are like various EVM types, and you can actually deploy in the real net also, like real things, Ethereum or like in Matic or anywhere using MetaMask. But now first I want to like deploy this in the local machine, and I will show you like what the things are going on. I think time is like we're almost finishing the time, and I will just give you very fast deployment thing. So we deploy this thing, and then like we have you can see that this is the address once we deploy, and we can actually use in the functions we can actually see this. This is like a visual representation of all the functions and everything. So now we want to add the user. For example, we can actually switch user, something like this. So this is the first user, this is the deployed. You can actually see 99 Ether, and like these accounts are already like cap added 200 Ethers as well. So I shifted like switched the user, and if I try to deploy this join tour button function, so I can't. You can see that it threw error because what happened is because I haven't added as a tour member by the admin. That is why I can't able to join in this tour. So what happened is I will switch back to admin account, and I actually added this user account for example this address I copied, and I actually added this address. Allow user. Once I allowed user, what will happen is I can actually join as a member. So if now I want to join, before that I have to send ether for this to join, right? So I want to send 2 ethers and I want to join now. So now you can see that the transaction got executed, and this thing happened. So as you can see, user joined event got fired, and it will actually have the address in it. Yeah, so this is how we add the user and join the tour. So we can actually like the user the admin can actually add more addresses, for example this address to be joined. So transact. So this address also joined, and we can actually the user can actually now join the tour by providing to Matic. So imagine what happened if I started one Matic join tour. So it got reverted. So the transaction got reverted. So I only it required the minimum 2 ethers to to join the game, join the tour. So as you can see, this thing got executed. So yeah, this is actually got executed, and now you can see that user joined event got fired here. And third thing and last thing we want to see the demo is withdraw funds. So withdraw fund withdrawal will actually for example, remember this is actually the admin account. It is EDDCA. see, this is having 99.999 ethers. But when you can see two people got joined. When I withdraw this, my ether count should be should increase 4 ether more. That means I should have around 104 ethers, around 103 point something like that. Yeah, 103.999 or something like that. So that is how I increase my funding. Before that, what I have to do, for example, withdraw funds. Okay, withdraw. If I click withdraw funds, it should not execute because we actually prevented, because user this funding is still going on. If the admin wants to withdraw these funds, he has to do stop the funding first, and then he has to do that. So I will click on stop funding, and it will stop the funding. And as you can see, this called stop funding thing, and then I can actually withdraw funds fully. So I actually this function has executed, and you can see that see that I have admin has 103 ethers right now. So that means all the balance actually created back to user. So yeah, so that's about briefly about the smart contract, and I will I can answer if you have any question. Is there any question? Okay. If you don't have any questions, thank you very much for joining, and I hope this will help you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. We are about to end this workshop, but before concluding this workshop, I'm going to announce something special for you all. After this workshop, I hope most of you get interested in blockchain, Web3, but might be confused now. How to proceed further? अब आगे क्या करना है? So, we are launching a bootcamp, Developer Shala 1.0. Hold on, this workshop is not for all of you present here. This is only for those who want to explore this field of blockchain development and be a leader in the world of blockchain. It will be a 10 plus hours of live bootcamp on 22 to 23rd July by trained professionals. Here, you will get a chance to build 2 live projects on blockchain. And wait, there will be 1 hour bonus session at the end of the bootcamp on resume building too. It will be a paid workshop of just 1499, but you can get a 33% discount using our community code of the blockchain Hive. If you are interested, take yes in your attendance forms. We will get back to you soon, and note that only 50 seats are available. Before ending, I would like to invite Arafat Sheikh here. Arafat, are you here? He is popularly known as TechD Expert. He has collaborated with us to promote this workshop. He has more than 100k followers on Instagram, which is really appreciable.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude for your kind words and appreciation at the end of this 3-day online blockchain Hive workshop. It was an honor to serve as a social media partner, and your recognition means immense importance to me. Thank you for the incredible opportunity to contribute to the success of this event.
Thank you, Arafat. I hope all of you have enjoyed this workshop. Let me know your views in the comment section too. Being a co-founder of the Blockchain Hive, I would like to assure you all that we will try our best to provide you with all the resource and knowledge in these emerging technologies like blockchain, Web3, etc. If you even want to conduct a session on your campus, do reach out to us and share your suggestions too. Do retweet about this workshop on your Twitter handles and don't forget to tag Polygon Labs and the blockchain Hive. Follow our social media pages too. बाकी कुछ भी suggestions हो तो surely reach out to us and share it on our social media pages. Thank you for being such a lovely audience. Thank you.